There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't always show on the surface. It's quiet. It hides behind smiles, busy schedules, and casual, "I'm fine" replies. You scroll through your phone at night, not because you're looking for something, but because you're hoping someone might be looking for you. You have people around, maybe even hundreds of contacts, yet somehow no one truly feels close. You start to wonder if it's you, if you're too much, or not enough. You replay old conversations in your head, trying to figure out where the distance began. But here's the truth. Most people never say out loud. It's not that you're unlovable. It's that no one ever taught you why people quietly pull away from those who crave connection the most. Loneliness isn't a flaw, it's a signal. It's your soul's way of saying something needs to change. Because people who struggle to build or keep friendships often share 5 powerful personality traits. And once you understand them, everything changes. Not just how others see you, but how you see yourself, your worth, and the energy you bring into every room. Let's dive in. The hidden pain of isolation. Loneliness doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like a man who works tirelessly all day, achieving more than most, yet comes home to a quiet house where no one asks how his day was. He tells himself he's fine, that he prefers the silence. But the truth is, every tick of the clock feels heavier when there's no one to share it with. Sometimes it looks like a woman who's surrounded by people, smiling at every gathering, laughing at every joke, yet deep down she feels invisible. She listens to everyone else's stories, but no one ever really asks about hers. She's mastered the art of being there for others, yet no one seems to notice when she's missing. That's the hidden pain of isolation. It's not loud, it doesn't scream for help. It whispers in the quiet moments when you realize you've built a life that looks full but feels empty. You tell yourself you're just too busy or too independent, but really you're afraid to admit you're lonely. And over time, that loneliness starts to eat away at your sense of worth. You begin to wonder what's wrong with you. You start to believe maybe you're the reason people drift away. You stop reaching out, stop trying, and begin to confuse solitude with safety. Because being alone feels less painful than being rejected. But that safety comes at a price. You lose parts of yourself that only friendship can mirror back to you. Your humor, your softness, your sense of belonging. Most people don't realize loneliness isn't caused by lack of company. It's caused by patterns we never noticed within ourselves. Patterns that quietly build walls instead of bridges, keeping us distant when all we really want is to be seen, understood, and loved. Number 1, overgiving without boundaries. Some people love so deeply that they forget where their love ends and another person begins. They give without limits, time, attention, energy, believing that if they just love hard enough, people will stay. They answer every message instantly, rearrange their plans to be available, and always say yes, even when their heart quietly whispers no. But what begins as pure kindness slowly turns into exhaustion, and what was meant to create connection ends up pushing people away. Because love given without boundaries doesn't feel like love, it feels like pressure. You keep pouring into others, hoping they'll finally see your worth, but instead they start to drift. Not because you're unkind, but because people can sense when love comes from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough. You overgive not because you're selfless, but because deep down you're terrified of losing people. And the cruel irony is that in trying so hard to keep them close, you make it harder for them to breathe near you. You start to disappear in your own giving, becoming someone who's always there for everyone but yourself. And when the people you've given everything to eventually leave, it confirms your greatest fear. Yet it's not because your love was too much. It's because it came without balance, without space, without self-respect. Real love doesn't demand you shrink to fit someone's life. It asks you to stand whole in your own. You don't lose people because you love too much. You lose them because you forget to love yourself too. Number 2, guarded and emotionally distant. Then there are the ones who've been hurt too many times to risk being open again. They've loved deeply before, trusted fully, and paid the price for it. So now, they wear their pain like armor, polished, heavy, and always ready for battle. They crave connection, they want to be seen, but the moment someone gets too close, they flinch. They change the subject. They make a joke. They disappear for a few days. Vulnerability feels like danger, and closeness feels like a setup for disappointment. You tell yourself you're just private or independent, but really you're afraid of being hurt again. You build walls to stay safe, but those same walls keep the warmth from ever reaching you. The truth is, people can feel that distance. They sense it even when you smile, even when you say you're fine. It confuses them. They want to know you, but it feels like you're locked behind glass. So they stop trying, not because they don't care, but because they can't break through what you refuse to open. And deep down, you know it. You watch people fade and you tell yourself it's proof that no one stays. But really, it's proof that you've stopped letting them in. That's the tragedy of being guarded. It feels like control, but it's really just isolation dressed as strength. You think you're protecting yourself from pain, but you're also protecting yourself from joy, from laughter, from the warmth of genuine connection. Healing doesn't mean trusting everyone. It means giving someone a chance again, even if your voice shakes, because being guarded doesn't protect you from pain. It just protects you from love. Number 3, constant negativity or self-pity. There's a kind of energy that follows some people wherever they go, a heavy cloud that turns every conversation gray. They don't mean to bring it. They don't even realize it's there, but it lingers in their words, their tone, the way they talk about life. You walk into a room with a cloud above your head, not realizing everyone else starts feeling the rain. These are the people who've been disappointed so many times that they've stopped expecting good things to happen. They tell themselves it's just being real, but underneath the realism is pain that was never healed. And because they've learned to see the world through hurt, they unknowingly make everything feel heavy for those around them. Friends start to pull back, not because they lack empathy, but because constant negativity drains energy. People can handle your sadness. What they can't handle is hopelessness. They want to help, to listen, to support, but they can't carry the weight of a story that never changes. The tragedy is that most people caught in this cycle don't see it. They think others are abandoning them when really, people are just trying to breathe again. Life already comes with enough struggle. No one wants to feel like they're drowning in someone else's storm too. But here's the truth. Pain doesn't push people away. Staying in pain without wanting to heal does. You don't have to hide your wounds, but you do have to stop making them your identity. When you start to speak from healing instead of hurt, your energy shifts. People lean in again. They feel light, hope, possibility. And that's when connection returns, because everyone is drawn to the one who's still hurting, but brave enough to believe in better days. Number 4, lack of self-awareness. Some people don't realize that the way they show up in the world is the very reason others keep their distance. It's not because they're bad people, it's because they lack self-awareness. They talk too much without noticing others have tuned out. They interrupt stories, change subjects, or turn every conversation back to themselves. Not out of arrogance, but insecurity. Deep down, they just want to be heard, to be seen, to matter. You don't even notice you talk over others because you've never had someone truly listen. And so you overcompensate, filling every silence with noise, trying to hold attention that should have been freely given. But here's the quiet truth. People can feel when the space isn't shared. They sense when a conversation becomes a performance. They stop opening up, not because they dislike you, but because they don't feel seen either. Lack of self-awareness makes every interaction heavier, because without realizing it, you make others feel small just to feel big enough yourself. But this isn't a flaw, it's a mirror. It's a reminder to pause, to notice, to ask, how do people feel when they leave me? The moment you start observing yourself, instead of defending yourself, everything changes. You start to notice patterns, how you deflect compliments, how you cut people off, how your tone shifts when you're uncomfortable. That awareness is where transformation begins, because relationships thrive on balance. Space to speak, space to listen, and space to breathe. Self-awareness doesn't make you perfect, it makes you human again. It gives you the power to stop reacting, and start connecting. Not from insecurity, but from genuine presence. And that's when people finally begin to feel safe around you. Because you're no longer just showing up to be seen, but to truly see. Number 5, fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is a silent thief of connection, stealing opportunities before they even arrive. It makes people sabotage themselves without realizing it. Never reaching out, assuming others don't care, or cutting ties too early to protect against imagined disappointment. You walk away before they can leave. You stop texting before they stop replying. You smile and nod, pretending to be fine, while a small voice whispers, "If I try, I'll just get hurt." This fear is rarely born overnight. It grows quietly from childhood rejection, heartbreak, or betrayal. Every slight, every unreturned call, every no becomes a lesson etched into your heart. People leave. And when that pattern repeats, it teaches you to expect abandonment even where none exists. You carry it like a shadow, tiptoeing around relationships, protecting yourself by staying distant, believing safety is better than vulnerability. But safety without connection is loneliness in disguise. Here's the truth you need to hear. Rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy. It doesn't mean you're broken, or incapable of love, or destined to be alone. It only means you've been giving your heart to the wrong hands. And once you begin to see it that way, fear begins to lose its grip. You start to take small risks again, sending a message, making a call, showing your real self. You begin to understand that not everyone will reject you, and that true friends will stay, not because you guard your heart perfectly, but because they're drawn to the courage you finally show. Fear of rejection fades when you learn that being vulnerable isn't weakness. It's the bridge to genuine connection, the path to the people who were meant to walk alongside you all along. The shift from lonely to loved. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you face the truth about yourself. The same man who used to sit in silence, waiting for someone to notice his absence, now laughs freely with friends he never thought he'd have. He learned to stop chasing approval and started showing up as himself, fully and without apology. The woman who used to smile and say, "I'm fine," while quietly crumbling inside, now whispers, "Can we talk?" She's discovered that vulnerability, when paired with self-respect, draws people closer instead of pushing them away. They begin to listen instead of dominate, to give without losing themselves, to set boundaries that protect their energy instead of keeping others out. Slowly, walls built from fear and pain start to soften, not vanish, but soften enough for connection to seep through. They stop trying to control who stays and who goes, and in that freedom, people begin to gravitate toward them naturally. They learn that connection is not something to force, it's something to cultivate. The energy they give off changes. It's calmer, warmer, more inviting. And in that energy, friendships are no longer transactional. They are mutual, balanced, and real. Loneliness fades, not because people magically appear, but because they finally align the inside with the outside. When you change what's inside, you stop searching for people to fill the emptiness, and you start attracting those who reflect your wholeness. The heart that was once closed, wary and heavy, now opens cautiously, yet fully, ready to be seen and to see. And in that space, love, friendship, and genuine connection finally find room to grow. Within you needs attention, reflection, and healing. It doesn't mean you're broken, unworthy, or incapable of connection. It simply means there are patterns, fears, and habits that have built walls between you and the people who could truly see you. The journey isn't about blaming yourself or feeling shame. It's about becoming aware, learning, and choosing differently. Every trait that once kept you isolated, the overgiving, the guardedness, the negativity, the lack of self-awareness, the fear of rejection can be transformed. And when they are, the space that was once empty begins to fill. Take one step today, reach out to someone you've been avoiding. Open up about how you feel. Set a boundary that honors your energy, or forgive someone who hurt you. Connection starts with courage. One small action can ripple into profound change. You don't have to wait for others to notice you. You create the shift by showing up differently. And maybe, just maybe, that's how you'll find your people again. Those who reflect your worth, who reciprocate your care, who see the real you and stay. Because the moment you become the friend you've been searching for, the world starts to find you back. It's not magic. It's the result of doing the inner work, of choosing presence, openness, and self-respect over fear. And in that quiet, powerful change, loneliness begins to dissolve, replaced by connection, laughter, and the warmth of being truly seen.